Welcome to our channel dedicated to discussing the intricacies of relationships among women. Here, we delve into the myriad of challenges that people encounter in their daily lives. Let's delve into the content of today's video. So, I've been in a relationship with my husband for a solid 11 years now, 7 of which we've spent in matrimony. To be candid, I wish what I'm about to share wasn't the reality. You see, my father-in-law has played the role of a stepdad since my husband was a mere 8 years old. However, things took a tumultuous turn 2 years ago when my mother-in-law and he decided to part ways. The reason? He was caught exchanging messages with younger women, typically in their mid to late 20s. Initially, the aftermath was rough. Yet, over time, we managed to mend relationships, and now, everything seems to be on a more stable ground. I must emphasize that despite his flaws, my father-in-law has been an exceptional dad to my husband and a remarkable granddad to our child. The bond within our extended family is incredibly tight-knit, almost as if we were all blood relatives. This interconnectedness, while heartwarming, also compounds the difficulty of our current situation. Surprisingly, I've never felt uncomfortable around my father-in-law despite being aware of his penchant for younger women. He's always treated me with utmost respect, almost like his own daughter. Naturally, my husband and I were utterly shocked and disappointed upon discovering his infidelity. It took considerable effort to repair the rift between my husband and his father, but eventually, they managed to reconcile. Recently, however, there's been a new development. My father-in-law received a devastating diagnosis, leaving him with only a few months to live. Out of concern, I visited him while my husband was at work and our daughter was at school. During our conversation, he confided in me, expressing regret over not witnessing his granddaughter's growth and missing out on seeing his son mature. Then, unexpectedly, he dropped a bombshell. He confessed to me that he's always been attracted to me and pleaded for one night together as his dying wish. Stunned and repulsed, I promptly rejected his proposition, feeling an overwhelming sense of nausea. Hastily excusing myself, I fled from his presence. Now, back at home, I find myself grappling with how to navigate this ordeal and whether to disclose it to my husband, who's currently in the dark about the entire situation. I'm torn between preserving my husband's relationship with his dying father and confronting the repulsive behavior exhibited by the man who's been a father figure to him for years. It's a complex and emotionally taxing predicament. Adding to my distress is the fear of fracturing our closely knit family comprised predominantly of my father-in-law's relatives, who have always treated me with kindness and acceptance. In a rather cold and detached manner, it's evident that someone has committed a grave offense against you. Yet, your husband's role is crystal clear. He must provide solace and support. Keeping this dreadful secret indefinitely isn't a feasible option. Once the perpetrator is gone, your husband will be left with unanswered questions, forever pondering the untold side of the story. There are numerous drawbacks to silence, and it's essential to recognize that you're not the one causing any ruin. It's the perpetrator himself who has shattered the sanctity of trust. Your father-in-law single-handedly exacerbated this already precarious situation when he made inappropriate advances towards you. Informing your husband is imperative, and you must be prepared to assist him through the inevitable fallout, which will undoubtedly be substantial. My condolences for having to endure such a harrowing ordeal. I understand the immense difficulty your husband will face upon learning this news. However, informing him is paramount, as it will irrevocably alter his perception of a relationship that holds profound significance. Communicating such a revelation is daunting, to say the least. Your husband's support and understanding are indispensable during this trying time. It's regrettable that your father-in-law's health may be deteriorating, but this doesn't absolve him of his reprehensible actions, nor does it impose any obligation on you to remain silent. Unless his mental faculties are compromised by illness, there is no excuse for his behavior. Your husband deserves to know the truth without delay, and his unwavering support will be crucial as you navigate the repercussions of this revelation. Your father-in-law bears sole responsibility for any fallout resulting from his actions. It's unfortunate that there isn't a definitive explanation for his behavior, but sharing your experience with your husband is the first step towards healing and resolution. It's a difficult conversation to initiate, but it's essential for the sake of your relationship and your well-being. As for the ongoing situation you mentioned, seeking guidance to avoid making impulsive decisions is wise. Taking a step back and evaluating the circumstances with a clear mind is crucial to prevent any regrettable actions. The fact that you and your boyfriend are attending different schools poses a logistical challenge, but surprises can still be planned effectively with thoughtful consideration. Despite the distance, surprises can still be delightful and well received. However, considering the situation with caution and seeking advice is commendable. As I sat in the parking lot of his dorm, eagerly anticipating the surprise I had planned for my boyfriend, I thought I had timed it perfectly. I quickly reached out to his roommate for confirmation and was met with an unexpected revelation. My boyfriend had spontaneously decided to head to San Diego for the rest of the week. Despite the fact that his parents had a house in Imperial Beach, he typically preferred spending time with me. Confused, I called him to confirm, only to learn that he was indeed heading to Imperial Beach but was still in Tempe, sorting out some last-minute preparations. I couldn't help but feel a pang of disappointment when he informed me that it was just a boys' trip and declined my offer to accompany him. Undeterred, I explained that I was already at his dorm, having gone through considerable effort to surprise him. However, his response was dismissive, offering a curt refusal to meet or even swing by, claiming that he was already en route on the I-10. As I glanced around for solace among his friends, hoping for some clarity, I discovered that he was passing by his dorm at that very moment, contrary to his claims of being on the highway. It was a bitter realization that he could have easily stopped by to see me but chose not to. This unexpected behavior left me feeling bewildered and hurt, prompting me to seek reassurance from his friends. However, their responses, though seemingly genuine, only heightened my suspicions. They all echoed the same narrative, insisting that he was indeed headed to Imperial Beach with a friend none of them had ever met. Despite my efforts to rationalize the situation, my instincts were on high alert. It seemed out of character for him to embark on such a trip without informing me beforehand. The fact that he had previously cheated on me during our long-distance phase only exacerbated my concerns. Despite his reassuring text messages, my gut feeling persisted, leaving me feeling lost and conflicted. In my desperation for distraction and solace, I resorted to taking a friend's Xanax to help me sleep, only to find that the situation had escalated overnight. Despite his reassuring messages, doubts continued to plague me, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. As I grappled with my emotions, I realized that I needed to confront him and address my suspicions head-on, no matter how uncomfortable it may be. Reflecting on my own experiences as a young college student, it's crucial to acknowledge the significance of trusting your instincts and prioritizing your well-being over anything else. At 19, you're at a pivotal stage in your life, where every choice you make shapes your future. While I won't dictate your actions, I do wish to impart some wisdom garnered from my own journey. Firstly, the fact that your boyfriend concealed his plans for this trip and only revealed them when confronted is a glaring red flag. His friends' rehearsed responses and his dismissive demeanor towards your thoughtful surprise further underscore the unsettling nature of the situation. It's important to recognize that any decent partner would appreciate the effort you put into the surprise, not brush it off callously. Moreover, the blatant dishonesty regarding his whereabouts raises serious concerns about his trustworthiness and integrity. Why lie unless there's something to hide? His abrupt rudeness and refusal to engage with you in a respectful manner, especially before embarking on a supposed vacation, speak volumes about his character. While I won't speculate on the specifics of his actions, it's evident that you deserve better than to be treated with such disrespect. As you navigate your college experience, remember to prioritize your happiness and self-worth above all else. Don't allow yourself to be manipulated or deceived by someone who doesn't value you. As you return to Tucson and embrace the opportunities that lie ahead, surround yourself with supportive friends who uplift and cherish you. Enjoy the journey of self-discovery and growth that college offers, knowing that you have the power to shape your own destiny. Ultimately, trust your instincts, know your worth, and don't hesitate to let go of anything or anyone that holds you back from fulfilling your potential. Being 19 and in my first proper relationship, when things started going bad or weird, you aren't just able to turn off the hurt. Summon some inner strength, or self-confidence yourself into safety, because honestly, those abilities don't just exist in you yet, they come through experience. I suspect this poor girl is about to get her heart broken, and there is absolutely no preparation for that, especially at that age. Yeah, he's probably messing around. If he was driving past you as you're talking and didn't stop, it's because he didn't want you to see who was in the car with him. His dismissive tone was for the person he was riding with, reassuring them that you're nothing special to him. I mean, I can only go by what you wrote, but in the event you're a halfway intelligent human being, you know when someone is being fake with you. If it sounded coached, it probably was. You're not overreacting. Trust your gut, girl. Everything you laid out sounds super sus, and I would be ready to pull the plug over this bullcrap if I were in your shoes. My husband and I have been together for 5 years. We have no kids but have pets. 2 nights ago, he got extremely drunk while out with his friends. He was slurring his words, barely making sense, and was almost at the point of passing out. I was almost 100% sober, 2 small drinks for context. It's the worst I've seen him since we've been together, but he does have a problem with not knowing when to stop when he drinks. Sometimes, seeing this, it's not a common occurrence. We were walking home, and I was trying to stop him from doing something stupid, damaging something, and he turned around, slapped me around the face, and swore at me repeatedly before storming off. Luckily, it was in the middle of the night on a quiet road, and no one was around. I was shell-shocked initially, called the police, but hung up as I didn't want him to get arrested. And then I organized for him to go to his parents' house while I went home. I stayed up almost all night, and I have a bruise on my face from where he hit me. The next morning, he was extremely apologetic, crying, and couldn't believe what he'd done. He didn't remember anything from the night before. He has promised to never drink again, which is a very big ask considering his friends are all social drinkers, and off the back of that, I have agreed we will try and carry on. However, I'm not coping very well. I keep replaying the moment in my mind, and I feel so sick when I think about it. I feel like he thinks things have gone back to normal, but I feel almost traumatized. But because of this, I almost feel like I'm overreacting. He has a temper, and when we argue, he'll sometimes throw things, but he's never hit me before and always promised and reassured me that he wouldn't. I understand that he is remorseful and has pledged to change his behavior, but the severity of his actions cannot be overlooked or easily forgiven. It's concerning that he has displayed a pattern of escalating aggression, from throwing objects during arguments to physically assaulting you while intoxicated. While his apology and promise to quit drinking are steps in the right direction, it's essential to address the underlying issues contributing to his behavior. Your safety and well-being should be your top priority, and it's okay to seek support from loved ones or professional resources during this difficult time. Trauma, whether physical or emotional, takes time to heal, and it's crucial to prioritize your own recovery process. Additionally, holding him accountable for his actions and ensuring that he follows through on his commitment to change is essential for rebuilding trust and maintaining a healthy relationship. Ultimately, only you can decide what is best for your future and whether or not you feel safe continuing the relationship. Remember that you deserve to be treated with respect and kindness at all times, and any form of violence or abuse is unacceptable. Don't hesitate to reach out for help and support as you navigate this challenging situation. He was out of his mind when he did it. He thinks someone might have even put something in his drink. And he's usually so wonderful, sweet, and kind on a day-to-day basis. And I love him, but I feel like everything feels tainted now. I feel anxious and panicky. I feel uneasy, and I keep having bouts of sadness. I feel like I can't talk to anyone because I don't want anyone we know to think badly of him if I'm overreacting. I honestly feel like I've got no one to turn to, and that's why I'm here. You're not overreacting. Even if he hadn't hit you yet, this part is a big red flag. He has a temper, and when we argue, he'll sometimes throw things, but he's never hit me before and always promised and reassured me that he wouldn't. You should go to therapy yourself. He should go to individual counseling for each of you, not couples counseling. It would be reasonable and probably prudent to break up with him. If you do stay together, I would draw a hard line not just on drinking but on having a temper and throwing things too. He's a grown man, and he needs to control himself. You need to feel safe and be safe in your relationship. You don't need to protect him by not telling other people in your life. You need support. You may need support in the future. You don't want him to effectively isolate you from your loved ones. I want to add to this comment, therapy for you, yes. Therapy and anger management for him, yes. Do not go to therapy together. Any good therapist will suggest separate treatment as soon as they realize that there has been physical violence, anger issues, or emotional abuse. It's not safe to do therapy together. It's dangerous. You need to be able to be open and honest with the therapist, and you cannot do that if there could be dangerous consequences to that vulnerability. Honestly, original poster, I'd leave. I only wish I'd left when things went from throwing objects to physical violence. I didn't, and it got so much worse. He has shown you that you're not safe when he gets angry, and that is not okay or healthy. If you do decide to leave, don't tell him ahead of time. Have a friend come with you to retrieve your things, stay somewhere else, and be cautious. Don't meet him alone for any reason. Also, it's really common for abusers to cry and apologize and act wonderful again for a while, then the whole cycle starts all over again. Oh, honey, I'm so sorry he physically abused you. He may truly be sorry for what he did. He may actually be disgusted with himself, but the dam has been broken now. He's hit you. He believes you've forgiven him, so now he knows that if he slips up again, it won't be a deal breaker for you. Almost all abusers say they're sorry. Many cry and beg for forgiveness and promise they will not do it again. Very few keep that promise. It feels tainted because it is, and it will only get worse because the longer this relationship goes on, the more isolated, traumatized, frightened, confused, depressed, and manipulated you will become. It is imperative, at this juncture, to convey the message that it's time for you to relinquish this situation, but with utmost caution and concern for your safety. Allow me to extend my fullest love and support to you during this challenging period. I can empathize with the profound sense of betrayal and anguish that must be enveloping you. It is crucial to acknowledge that the incident was not a result of inebriation but an unequivocal act of violence. Regardless of his remorse, the only viable recourse for him is to initiate a complete separation, commit to abstinence from alcohol, actively engage in therapy, and afford you the opportunity to progress in life, unencumbered by the shadows of this traumatic event. It is imperative to recognize that alcohol serves as a catalyst for impulsive behavior. However, it does not metamorphose individuals into wholly distinct personas. Consequently, the perpetrator of the violence was not a stranger nor an altered iteration of your spouse, but indeed your husband. Hence, I posit that you contemplate the notion of a separation, possibly supplemented by therapy. Despite harboring apprehensions about his temper, there exists a latent fear of a recurring cycle, wherein forgiveness becomes a perilous precedent. If his demeanor swiftly reverts to normalcy, it belies a lack of genuine remorse, indicative of a mere facade. Permit me to furnish an anecdote from personal experience. My husband inadvertently struck me once, devoid of malicious intent, during a jest with friends. His immediate cessation of the act, profuse apologies, and genuine concern for my well-being underscored his remorse, which lingered for days thereafter. Notably, he refrained from partaking in such frivolities subsequently, exemplifying the gravity of his contrition. Individuals of moral rectitude who inadvertently transgress possess the capacity for remorse. Your husband's nonchalant acceptance of his deliberate transgression, irrespective of his inebriated state, is untenable. Refrain from acceding to his rationalizations and safeguard yourself by vocalizing your ordeal. Silence should not befall you in a bid to shield him, for you are the aggrieved party in this lamentable ordeal.